guys, it's Mia Baker here and welcome to the 4th episode of my podcast Unsussed. For those of you who are new here, Unsussed is a podcast that delves into my world, my golf life and basically just me figuring stuff out with you. I'll be here every Tuesday to chat about all things golf and everything in between. Don't forget, you can DM me on Insta at MiaEllaX, or you can drop a comment on my Unsussed YouTube channel if you want me to chat about anything or discuss anything in particular in upcoming episodes. And lastly, just a really small request from me, if you can, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and maybe, drop a 5-star rating if you want to. On this podcast, honestly, it means such a lot, and I really appreciate everyone who's given so much support to this podcast already. You guys, you're awesome. In today's episode, I wanted to share with you my very first experience of playing in a golf competition. Now, I'm kind of laughing because my first ever competition was actually a Ladies European Tour event, which is insane considering I've been playing golf for a year and a half. Now, I wanted to share you this story, firstly because I don't know, I just think it's kind of interesting and I've never really shared the whole thing with anyone before, and I feel like my podcast would be such a nice place for it. And also secondly, for anyone who is planning on playing a competition, thought about playing a competition, kind of gives you an insight on what to expect, and also it should, well I hope it does, help diminish any nerves because you can just think, oh well, at least I wasn't as bad as Mia. And on that note, let's get started. Right, let's do some scene setting first. So I've been playing golf at the time for about a year and a half. I'd had my Instagram obviously again for about a year and a half as well. And I would say I was pretty comfortable on the range. I mean, I wasn't hitting perfect shots every time, don't get me wrong, but I was hitting it well enough that if I went out on a course, hypothetically, I should be able to get round. Now, I wouldn't say I was very confident on the course because I just didn't have that experience. I was still very nervous. It was all very new. I was just finding my way. Now I'm so much more confident, but that's definitely taken some time. And then I get this invite. I get this invite from an event called the Aramco Team Series. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Aramco Team Series is, it's a Ladies European Tour event that basically puts the girls in teams. So they're teams of 4, which consist of 3 pros and 1 amateur. There's a team captain and they basically get to pick who they want to be paired with. The 3rd professional is done randomly, and then obviously the amateur is done randomly as well. So you have these teams of 4. Now the girls are playing for $1 million prize fund, which comes from both the team event and it also comes from individual. So you're scored individually. The girls, obviously the amateurs aren't included in this. Obviously for the team event, if your team wins, then a portion of the money gets split between the team. The amateur doesn't actually win any money for it, so they're just there. They're just there for the fun, for the interest, for the excitement. And it's such an incredible event and it's such an amazing idea, and it's a great way to get people in this competitive environment understanding what it means to be a professional golfer, basically learn on the course and just watch amazing people play. It's a 3-day event, so I get invited to go and play. Now, my management were like, Mia, you should definitely do it. It's a great opportunity. It's so exciting. Like, who wouldn't want to do it? I was there and I was thinking, oh my God, I have never played in a golf competition. In fact, I don't think I'm very good at getting around the course yet. I still do duffs all the time. I top it, I chunk it, it goes off in God knows what direction, the ball's coming off the hosel. Could I actually play on this event? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, with a little persuasion, I said yes. From the moment I said yes, I think I was so nervous. I was freaking out. I didn't have a handicap. I was like, how the hell do I even get a handicap? I always speak about not having the pressure of a handicap because I don't really like it. I like people to just play and enjoy. If you want to get a handicap and that's good for you, go and do it. If you don't, then don't. I don't think it's like a necessity for golf. That's why I've always been quite quiet about my handicap, because it's not for anyone else, it's for me, and I don't want people to feel either like I'm playing better than I am or playing worse than I am, because when I go out and I play with someone, I want to just play how we play on the day together, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I didn't have a handicap, so I needed to go and get a handicap. To get a handicap, I needed to play 3 rounds of golf. So I had to go off, I had to go play 3 rounds of golf. I had to join a club, of which I did. It's kind of like this weird hybrid membership that I joined where I kind of bought points, and so I can play on the course with my points, rather than me having this typical membership where you just pay and you play whenever you want type thing. We got the max handicap for the event, which was really good for me because honestly, there was no way I was going to be shooting anywhere near that handicap anyway. I was definitely out of my comfort zone. I'm looking back at myself and I'm thinking, Mia, you're crazy. But also, really good to push yourself out of your comfort zone, because if you stay in your comfort zone, how are you meant to grow? How are you meant to get better? How are you meant to get these experiences under your belt to make them less scary next time? Like, if I hadn't done it then the next time I do it, it's going to be just as scary. But now I've done it once, I feel like, I've got that experience, I know what I'm doing, it's not going to be as crazy or as scary or as bad or any of that, and I just know what to expect. So super glad I've done it now, but at the time I was, oh my god, I was so scared. I was, that even like makes me cringe thinking about it, the anxiety I got. It's crazy. I tried to practice as much as I could, so I was practicing, but the stress and the pressure I was putting on myself was making my practice really bad. It got to a point where I was like, I can't hit a driver anymore. What's wrong with me? Like, I can't hit my irons anymore. And before I was super relaxed, I was just enjoying the process, the journey. Now I had some sort of end goal to try and achieve and try and reach. It just completely threw me, which is so crazy because actually in this event, the amateur doesn't necessarily need to do anything. So what happens with the amateurs is they give in their handicap, it gets cut down by, I think it gets cut down to like a third or something, I can't remember, maybe 2/3. So I went into this event with a 16 handicap, which is like obviously not something I'd be able to achieve, but for the event they have to put the amateurs handicap quite low. When you're playing the team event in the Aramco, basically the top 2 scores go through, so you're working as a team of 4, but the top 2 scores on that hole go through for your team, even though everyone is also recorded individually as well. Hopefully that makes sense. So for amateurs scoring net par, net birdie or whatever, then the team is going to probably choose their net birdie unless everyone's else getting some sort of eagle or anything. They've got a crazy team. Now, in preparation for the event, I had to go to, well, it was being played at Centurion Club, and I got to have a practice round at Centurion Club beforehand, which is great, awesome. Really needed that just so I even knew what the course looked like. And I took a couple of George's friends actually. I don't have that many golf friends. I've literally taken all of George's and they just come out with me now, which is absolutely amazing and I love it so much, but it's just so hilarious. We went and we played at the Centurion Club, which is an absolutely beautiful course if you've not played it before. There's beautiful woodland trees, which aren't actually as bad as you think. So if you get your ball in the trees, there's quite a lot of gaps that you can get through. It's kind of bark on the floor, so it's not rough, but there are areas of rough which is just, they're just so tall. I think it was like the height of me. And anyway, if you get in there, you are not getting out. I heard of people taking about 6 shots to get out. That's what we're talking about here. Like, it is proper rough and you do not want to be in it. When we played our practice round, it actually wasn't that bad. I played okay. I did play off the yellows. I didn't know what colour I was going to be playing off on the day. Turns out I was playing off the reds, so I didn't even practice on the right tees. But whatever, we played off the yellows and I didn't hate it. I can't say I was thrilled by my score either, but I wasn't sad about my score. There was a few pars in there, that would have been great for the team. Maybe even would have been a net birdie, who knows. It was fun and it was doable. It wasn't going to be like an impossible challenge. Now, as the event drew closer and closer, obviously I got more and more nervous. George was coming to be my caddy. Now, I wouldn't say George is the keenest golfer of his group. In fact, when we first started dating, all of his friends thought it was quite hilarious that he was with me because I'm obviously really into golf now, and he just had, well, he did not have interest, he just didn't have as much interest as some of his friends. He was always the one who was hacking around. Anyway, he was now my caddy. So my boyfriend, who had gone from next to no interest in golf, suddenly is caddying for me, a beginner golfer, on a ladies European Tour event. Imagine how hilarious that sounds to his friends. They're probably thinking, this guy, what has he got himself into? But the thing is he was really busy with work. So we were driving down to the Centurion Club. I was stressing out. I was feeling so anxious, so nervous. I felt really sick. He was working in the car because he had to, he didn't have a choice. He was in a very, very busy period. And we get to the hotel and I'm freaking out and he's like, Mia, just park there. And I genuinely couldn't see, I couldn't think, I couldn't feel. And I suddenly couldn't breathe and I didn't know what was happening. And I was breathing so fast and I started crying and I just burst into tears in the middle of the car park. I had to turn the car off, I shut it down. I opened up the door and I just sat on the floor in the middle of a car park with obviously the front driver door open. Car wasn't moving, don't worry. And George looks over me and he's like, what has just gone on? So now I know I was having a panic attack. I had a panic attack in the car park of the hotel before the event. At the time I just didn't know what was going wrong with me. All of my emotions suddenly came, I don't know, just came out of my soul, out of my body, and I was suddenly on the floor and I couldn't breathe. It was honestly crazy. I'm not sure I've ever had a panic attack before. I think that's the first time I've ever, actually no, I did have a panic attack once. I have a really weird fear of bugs, and once I had nits and I basically had a panic attack because I had bugs on my hair and obviously I couldn't get rid of them. Anyway, that was my only other panic attack I've had. Yeah, there's a nice little story for you. So I've just had a panic attack. George is now having to park my car because I'm a total mess. Anyway, we go to our room. I'm still stressing, but I'm breathing properly. I'm able to do things. George is still working, bless him. And we sit there and there's this football on, I can't remember what match it was. And we were waiting for our tea times. So you get given your tea times, what feels like so late in the day. You really don't know until pretty much, I don't know, a few hours before you're having to get up to go and play at this event. And I think this is the case for most events. You don't usually find out your tea times until quite late. I don't know, I think it was like 9 o'clock or something, 9 p.m. that we found out our tea time, and it was a super early one, like 6 a.m. or something crazy. Which is fine, first day, early, good, no one's gonna be there, totally fine. And so we get our tea time, it's super early, I'm like, okay, I need to get to sleep ASAP. Off I go to sleep. George doesn't get to sleep until probably like 2 a.m. or something. So he must be knackered, I have no idea. Next morning, we wake up, I'm ready, get all my gear on. I feel like I look so much the part that I actually don't recognize who I am. I'm wearing all of this gear. I've got my Adidas cap on. I've got my golf dress on, my golf shoes. I've got a caddy who's carrying my bag. And I look in the mirror and I'm a bit like, God, Mia, what have you got yourself into? What are you doing? You have no idea what you're doing. And look at you, looking the part. Oh my God. I don't know, it's just, I don't know why, it just makes me laugh. The whole experience I just find hilarious. At the time I didn't find it hilarious, now I find it hilarious. Off we go to Centurion Club, we do our COVID tests or whatnot, we get in, cool. I actually didn't know any of the girls at this time. I'd basically been doing all my golf in lockdown, so I hadn't actually had the opportunity to meet people in real life. I'd kind of met people on social media, through social media, but never properly spoken to them. Amazingly, and I cannot thank her enough for this, but Amy Bolden comes up to me and she says hi. She just says hi, and I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. How kind of her. She's such an amazing person. I could not have had the courage to even say hi to anyone because I was already out of my comfort zone having to play. I was out of my comfort zone having to hit a ball in front of these incredible athletes. I felt like I was an imposter in golf already, just being on social media and being the one who doesn't know how to play. And then this girl's come up to me and she said hi. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. So Amy, if you're listening, you're a legend and I really appreciate you just saying hi to me. And it's the small things, you know, it's the small things. I meet a few of the other girls, they also introduce themselves to me and I'm suddenly feeling like, okay, this isn't too bad. Also, I forgot to mention, the night before I found out who my team were. So it was Chloe Williams, Chloe Frankish and Maria Pratt. And I didn't know who any of these girls were, so I had to Instagram stalk them, obviously. What else do you use? So I Instagram stalked them and I think Chloe Williams was the first one to drop me a message, which was amazing. I was so thrilled that she dropped me a message. She was so kind. She was like, look, don't worry, you're the amateur, you're here to enjoy it. Now, everything she said, rationally, I'm like, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. I agree. But in my head, I was putting so much pressure on myself. I was basically caring too much that I was going to let the team down, even though I wasn't going to let the team down. Like, there was no way I could have let the team down. It's not like I'm playing with a bunch of people who don't know how to hit a ball. I'm playing with people who are like pushing for birdie every time. Between 3 of them, they're going to get 2 parts a hole. So I'm on a mission to go and find these girls. I want to go just chat to them, see them before I have to go play. Just make sure that, I don't know, they're okay with me, and if they want me to do anything in particular, I don't know what they would want me to do, but you know, if they did. So we go find them. There's a range with range balls and everyone's practicing. They all have the like Titleist Pro V1 range balls. It's very, very professional, let's say. There's like a big room where you can go and get like breakfast, and you get all sorts of things there actually. You get your coffees, you can get like a little bacon sandwich, lots of Kit Kats and Twixes and stuff like that. I think there's a smoothie machine too. But this breakfast area, you can basically look over the range, so you can watch all of the girls down below hitting the balls, which is really cool. But then you realise, wow, they're incredible. The good thing is though, I did see a few of the amateurs. The amateurs are a mix of men, women. I don't actually know how they all get there. I think some might be like business people, some might be, I really don't know. I should really find that out. Regardless, you've got a load of amateurs and you can see them because they're typically on the edge of the range and they're hitting their balls left, right, middle, anywhere. And then all the professionals are kind of in the middle of the range hitting their balls straight. Then you walk over and there's a putting green. That's cool. Putting greens are good because you can't go too wrong with putting, and they're putting it from God knows how far away. This was actually the first time I also met Olivia Cowan, so she's actually with the same management company as me. And I'm so glad I saw a friendly face there too. And I was watching her as she was practicing. So for her practice, before she practiced for a round, she was doing really short putts, like just to get her confidence. Then she'd take it a bit further back and make it a bit of a longer putt, and then keep doing that and kind of building on it, just to get her confidence, get to the speed of the greens. Just, I don't really know. I guess that's what you do before you started playing. So I did the same, obviously, copying everyone around me. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, okay, at least I can putt, at least I can putt, there's my one thing, but I need to get to the green. And it comes up to our tee time. So we head over and you head on to like the tee box and there's a speaker there. Very scary. There's someone who's going to shout out your name. And we went there and we were with our team and with our caddies. And we were all called to the tee box. So the girls went first because they were playing off tee box, which was further back than me. So they all hit their shots, amazing, incredible. Never seen anything so fantastic in my life. I went to hit my shot. Luckily, there wasn't too many people looking because it was so early in the morning, not many people were there. I was obviously shaking. I can't hold my club. Now this is a bit of an issue because if you can't hold your club, how are you going to swing and how are you going to hit the ball? And I was also stiff as a board. I had no idea what had gotten into me. I was just this plank, a shaking plank. It was like I was going through some sort of earthquake. Anyway, I go to hit the ball and obviously it's not a very good shot. It kind of rolls not very far, but I guess it went forward. That's all we're saying. And then we continue on and it's kind of like, okay. Everything is kind of okay. It's not great. It's not great, not gonna lie. And George, who's my caddy, he'd picked up this book. But if you go and look at any of the, I think they're called yardage books, that the caddies have when they're playing, they are so intricate. It's like this mathematical grid. They can see all of the slopes of the greens. They know exactly where the pin position is going to be. Like, it's something that totally blew my mind. I've never seen anything quite like it before. And George has obviously got the yardage book that you get when you go to a normal golf club. Lots of pretty pictures and there's numbers on it. And George goes to the caddy, so what do the numbers on this book mean? Whilst he's kind of turning it upside down and the right way round. And I'm looking over and I just hear this and I'm like, oh my God, we're in for a treat. The caddy obviously had to explain to George that those numbers were the yardages. You know what I mean? It's just like a whole hilarious experience. I mean, I was stressing throughout the whole round. I can't say it was comfortable in any way whatsoever. I didn't feel comfortable. It took quite a while for me to even calm down. It must have been like the 12th hole where I felt a little bit more like less stiff. Chloe Williams was incredible. She was really kind to me. She's like, Mia, honestly, don't worry. You're just here to enjoy yourself. All you've got to do is get the ball into the hole. Like whether you do it in lots of shots or one shot, it really doesn't matter because there's no pressure on you. You're here for the experience. You're here to showcase the event. Like that's your job. Don't worry. And also it's an experience. You've got to go through these experiences to be able to do more of them in future. And she was so right. She's so right. If I don't ever play in any golf competitions or you don't ever play in any golf competitions, you're never going to get better at golf competitions. It's just fact. People who are really good at whatever they do in life have always done it so many times. Rarely has anyone ever done something their first time and been amazing. Just doesn't work like that. One thing I found out quite quickly was a rule I didn't know. That was the walking on a line rule. I didn't know that you're not supposed to walk on people's lines. So in the first hole, what do? I walk on someone's line. Yes, that was quickly noted. They said it to me in a really nice way, but it's just one of those things that I never learned. So if you're ever playing in a golf competition, don't walk on people's lines because apparently that is a really bad thing to do. Just walk around them. Anyway, after the first day, I was like, okay, great, we got through this. The 18th hole had this huge bandstand, but because it was the week, there really wasn't that many people there. It was actually quite a nice environment, to be honest, if I was going to play. And also it was quite early, so people was probably still in bed, which I don't blame them for. So we finished our round. I feel quite good that I've actually completed it. I actually finished a round of golf with these girls. And they didn't think, oh, she's categorically awful. They were like, okay, she's got things to work on, but you know, she's not the worst in the world. I want it to be better for the next day. Obviously, if I'm not putting enough pressure on myself, I'm gonna put more on myself because I am stupid. I went to the range, I hit loads and loads of balls, being like, okay, Mia, you need to sort your driving out. I don't know why I couldn't drive. It was like when I'm too tight, I can't drive the ball properly. I need to be really loose. I need to have loads of extension in my arms properly to make me drive the ball well. And for some reason I just was really stiff and really tight and closed. I always find I play much better when I can actually elongate my body properly. Elongate my body? You know what I mean. So the second day we played golf, I was obviously just as nervous as I was on the first day. It was a Friday, so people were still at work. It was Thursday, Friday, and then the final day of the event was Saturday, and Saturday was going to be the big one because Saturday was the final day. It was a weekend day. There was going to be a lot of people. Now, I can't really remember day one and day two all too well because I think I was just trying to get through to the next one. We accomplished it. I went out, I went and hit balls. I was practicing really hard because I didn't feel like I'd let my team down. I just didn't think I was doing as well as I could have. And I went out onto the range thinking it was all about me being able to hit a ball better. But I think a lot of it was also just having confidence, having the courage, having the mindset that I could actually do it. And I think for me, being on the range was my way of giving myself that confidence, even though I think I did need that, but I needed some other type of confidence that I just couldn't quite find in myself. Now this is something I'm really learning with golf, is how to control my nerves. The problem with my nerves is they're very physical nerves, like they have a physical impact on my body. I can't hide them very well, and any sort of like jittering or movement of the body obviously isn't great for golf. If I could somehow control the physical movements of my body when I'm nervous, I think that would help me so much, but unfortunately I still haven't learned how to do that yet. Like I said, I think in my previous podcast, you know, when I get really nervous about public speaking, my voice wobbles. When I get nervous playing my first tee shot, my arms shake and my body is shaking. When I get nervous to go and meet people that I've never met before, like my belly is physically like churning. I don't know why and I don't know how to stop it, but that's something I need to work on, and surely I'm not alone in the world in having these physical like jitters when I get scared, but I do. So you're not alone if you're anything like me. I have been there. Actually, I still am there a lot of the time. So jump through to the final day. I was more scared than I've ever been in my whole entire life about anything. Any sports competition I've ever played in. I played in competitions at a pretty high level. I used to play nationals for netball. I did nationals for athletics, 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump. I get nervous before As soon as I start playing or running or doing whatever it is I'm doing, all my nerves go. I can literally just be in the moment, be in the zone. With golf, it's just so different. I can feel my nerve from the start of my shot to the end of my shot, walking to my next shot, start of that shot, start of the next shot. It doesn't seem to go away. It's like an adrenaline overload. All of the sports, I think, because you have to be fast thinking, you don't have time to even think about your nerves because you're so intensely focused on the game. And if I can somehow control that, I think it would make me such a better golfer. Just being able to control, switch off, be in the zone and think about nothing in the duration of my swing, I think it would be a game changer for me. We're obviously very nervous, but this is Saturday. Now, in a good way, but also not so great, my team were doing really, really well. And when your team does really, really well, your tee time is later in the day. And if your tee time's later in the day, you're going to have more people watching you. And because you're at the top of the leaderboard, it also means that people are going to be following you around. So if there's a crowd, there was one completely surrounded by my group. Fantastic. Guys, you have no idea how scared I was. I couldn't, you know, on the first day I said I couldn't hold my club. Today I could not even hold my club one bit. Like, I was shaking so much. There was so many people, at least in my eyes, watching me hit a golf ball. And it's bad enough when you go out with your friends and play your first tee shot. So when you're going out and there's all these people staring at you, oh my God, it's so scary. The worst thing was, okay, so I step up, my name's called, for some reason I was being called Barker, my name is Baker, but whatever, you know, pop an R in there, whatever. And I'm called to the tee box and I'm there and I can't hold my club and I'm shaking so much and I know it's going to go wrong because I can't keep the club still. Obviously not ideal. And I look down and on the right of me and on the left of me is that rough I was talking about, rough that was the size of me. And of course I hit my driver and I managed to shank it straight into the rough on my right. And do you know what's worse than me just shanking it? Was that everyone from the crowd proceeded to go into the rough and look for my ball with me. I was mortified. Honestly, if you want a more mortifying golf moment for your first competition, I don't think you can get one. If you ever feel scared, just think at least I didn't shank it into the rough and have all of these people go in and try and find your ball with you. I was so embarrassed, and I was so embarrassed because this was like a par 4 hole, so it's long enough that it's going to take me a few shots to get down there. And because it was so rough, I had to obviously get out a wedge and I literally had to cut it out. And I knew I had to hit it hard because it was just so tangled up and it was so deep. So obviously I cut it super hard and it goes to the rough on the other side. And I was thinking, this can't get any worse. Luckily the lie was so much better over there. I could actually get back onto the fairway and play the hole properly. I actually did an amazing, well, I got into the bunker unfortunately, but I did an amazing shot outside of the bunker, literally right next to the pin. And people clapped. That was like such an amazing, awesome moment from having the tragedy of the start to like claps at the end. But that was a roller coaster of emotions. And I think from that point I just realised, I was like, why am I so stressed? Why am I so stressed? This is meant to be fun. Like, I'm laughing at myself because it was so ridiculous of how I've managed to put myself into these positions due to being so nervous. But also, I just wanted to do my team proud. I wanted my team to be like, Mia, I was so glad to have you as our amateur. I think I just wanted that recognition, just so that I just didn't want to let them down. It was really important to me that I made them feel like I did them proud. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's like being a child. Definitely feels like I was being a child. But all of the pressure was coming from myself. The girls weren't putting any pressure on me. And then we get round, and because it's like the last day, it's quite a lot of pressure. Also, if you're not playing fast enough, so if your group's not playing fast enough, then you have like a timekeeper. That is one of the most stressful things that you'll ever experience, is having like an actual timekeeper, because if you don't keep up your pace of play, then you actually get points deducted. And that is literally what I would never want for my team. So there were certain holes where I just picked up my ball because I'd rather not shoot anything and get like a cross on my scorecard than actually have the girls be penalised for it. That being said, we weren't actually going that slow because there was a group in front of us, but I think they were just trying to push everyone as quickly as possible. But that was really, really stressful, I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't even hit a ball in that situation. And even the girls find it stressful, so I do not blame them at all. Like, I just picked up, just didn't play. Like, it wasn't worth it for me. Like, they're actually paying for money and it means like a lot to them. It's like, this event actually brings them in a lot of money if they do well in it, and you know, it's a shame that they don't have more events of this kind of prize fund. But I think hopefully over time, like, that's going to change. They're going to be equally matched against men. I know there's a few initiatives out there where they are trying to match the pay that women and men get in golf. This is a great start. I'm not gonna lie, it is a great start. We all have to start somewhere. Hopefully there's more in future. But also it's just about, like, you know, getting people involved, growing the game. Like the Aramco series, I think, has done a really good job at doing that. Obviously the 18th hole on the final day was really scary too, because the grandstand had lots of people watching. Then you have to remember, half of those people watching are just boozing, they're just drinking. They don't even, I don't even know if they're watching the golf. That's what I've seen mostly when I've been to events. People are just networking or drinking, so there's not as much pressure as you think, even though obviously when you're looking at it, it looks really, really scary and intimidating. And then if you do hit a good shot, you hear one clap and then lots of people are clapping. So actually it's kind of a win-win situation if you think about it like that. We finish up and I am so glad the event is over. I've never been so stressed, so anxious in 3 days in all my life, even in the running up to. But everyone was super incredible and super nice to me, that I think anyone going into their first golf competition should get some sort of sanity in the fact that people are going to be nice to you, especially if it's your first competition. They know that you're there for the experience. We've all been there, and it's not as bad as you think. It all comes from within yourself. And that's one thing that I think is super difficult to get to terms with or come to terms with. Your mind creates all of your feelings, all of your emotions, everything you think about is all with your mind. Like, a situation could be presented to you and we could all think about it differently, which means we would all get different feelings from exactly the same situation or scenario. That blows my mind, that we actually have the power to perceive that situation however we want to. Sometimes it feels like it's not in our grasp and sometimes it feels like it is. For me, it definitely depends on my mood. If I'm in like a certain mood, I can think so rationally. I think and feel like I'm a business where I have no like emotional attachment. And then other times I'm so emotional that I feel like it's all consuming and I can't think anything but emotionally. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or feelings on how you've combated nerves. If you do, definitely drop some in the comments on my Unsussed YouTube channel, because I'd love to know what you guys have done to kind of just get over it, basically. That's what I want to do. I want to get over it, and I think it could be really helpful for other people who also want to just get over it. I am actually doing another event this year. In fact, I might be doing a couple, I'm not too sure yet, but it's all TBC. In which case, I am so looking forward to it. Like, in comparison to last year, this year I am so looking forward to it, because I just think, oh, it's another stepping stone on getting that bit better, on getting that experience of learning to play golf in a competition setting. I know the girls better this year. Obviously, I don't know who I'm going to be paired with, but I do know the girls better. And so it's just, the whole thing is just less overwhelming because I'm more in my comfort zone than I was before. If I hit a bad shot, do I care? Not as much, because I've become so much better at scrambling, at bringing it back, not letting one shot dictate my score on the whole hole. As long as I'm going forward and I can get myself out of trouble, then we're all good. I don't mind playing, I don't mind playing out of rough or whatever. I think this year is genuinely going to be such a different experience for me, and I want to do a podcast like when the whole event is really, really raw. So I want to record an episode like pretty much straight after I've done it, so I can give you a really fresh account of the whole experience, of what it's like, of playing. I don't know if that's interesting. I just feel like sometimes getting a really raw account of something is so much better than when you're trying to reflect on it. Obviously you get different insights. When I reflect back, I can obviously think more rationally. I think, how can I improve? How can I be better? But at the time when you're getting that really, really like fresh view on the whole thing, sometimes you just can't beat that emotion. And also it's just so good in knowing that you're not alone in thinking and feeling all of these things. I think the thing that's helped me feel less worried about this year is the fact that I've spent a lot of time working on my short game, and just knowing that if I get it near the green, I'm going to be okay. Before, I think I didn't have any part of my game that I felt really, really confident in, that I could kind of rely on or lean on. I always thought it was my driving, and I couldn't hold my club, so obviously my driving went out the window, and then that felt like that, it was done. At least now I've got my short game, my irons are better, my driving has been a little bit, I don't really know, a bit all over the shop recently since my irons have got good. We need to figure that one out. But we can still hit a drive, it's just not going straight. Yeah, that's the issue, we're getting a slice. We are becoming a slice queen. And honestly, I just think having a whole new mindset is gonna help so much. Once you learn it's just another brick to your life experiences, I think you just put less pressure on yourself, because you're like, it doesn't matter. We're here in this world once. And if we don't make the most of it, then when will we? I just feel like if we haven't given our all in the moment, in the opportunities that we've been presented with, then, you know, we'll look back and we'll just be a bit gutted that we didn't kind of make the most of it. You need to put yourself in these positions if you want to be better. If you're happy with where you are and happy with what you're doing, then that's so fine. But if you want to be better, then you need to do things that scare you a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if this was a little bit too scary, but we did it and we got through it and we're alive. I am literally alive and I'm telling this tale. I just want to end on a quote, because I love quotes so much. Honestly, when I'm in a slump or I'm going through a challenging period in my life, or I really fail to think about something differently, I always go to quotes. And the reason for that is because it's a chance for you to read something about something that you're going through from a different point of view, a different perspective. And that is so valuable, because sometimes it's really hard for your mind to think about things in a different way because you're so consumed in your own thoughts. There is always a quote out there online somewhere that will resonate with you in whatever it is you're trying to get through. And I just find it so incredible. It's got me through so many tough times in my life, just getting that different perspective. It's kind of like going to someone who you really trust, who you feel like you can rely on, who will always give you the best advice. And sometimes we don't always have those people in our lives who are able to give us advice, or maybe give us advice on a particular subject. And that's where quotes are really amazing, because you have access to these great minds, even if you don't have it in reality, if you know what I mean. Hopefully you know what I mean. This quote I just feel like really resonates with this podcast, but it's do what you can with what you've got where you are, by Theodore Roosevelt. And I just think that resonates so much, because that's all you can do, is be the best you can be in the situation that you're currently in with the resources that you currently have. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Unsussed. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to have you here as always. Make sure you don't forget to follow, subscribe, and drop a 5-star rating if you would. That would be so kind of you. And yeah, just remember, feel free to drop me a DM with any questions on my Insta account, which is @mielax, or drop a comment on my Unsussed YouTube channel if you'd like me to chat about or discuss anything in future episodes.